Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. Today, we're taking a look at a hypothetical three-team trade in the NBA. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Johnny, thanks so much for jumping on. Happy Saturday, man.
Yeah, you too. How's your Saturday going so far?
Not bad, not bad. Excited to take a look at an NBA trade. I'll certainly take it. This is, let me specify, this is a hypothetical trade created by Eric Pincus. So this is not an actual trade that we know is going down, but Eric is phenomenal at all the salary cap stuff. And so what he's putting out is something that, given the needs of all three teams, makes sense, in his opinion, for all three involved, and is something that would work from a salary cap perspective as well. I've got some reactions here. I've actually got one team I don't like this for, or two teams that I do. But here's the breakdown of the deal. The Magic would get Dorian Finney-Smith from the Nets and Isaiah Jackson from the Pacers. They'd be giving up Caleb Houston, and then the big piece, they'd be giving up Wendell Carter Jr. The Pacers would be getting Wendell Carter Jr. while giving up Isaiah Jackson as well as Jarris Walker. The Nets get Jarris Walker, Caleb Houston, and a trade exception while giving up Dorian Finney-Smith. Donnie, where do you want to start with this one? Which team do you want to begin with?
We can start with the Pacers here. Getting Wendell Carter is a pretty nice upgrade there. I wonder if he's a little bit redundant with Turner there. What is the plan there? Going to run them both together, or?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, right? When you look at the Pacers, they've got Miles Turner already, who's a fantastic big, can step out, can shoot the three, can certainly block shots. We know all of that, but if you're bringing in Wendell Carter, what does that really say? So here's the Pacers cap sheet. If you're going to bring in a guy like Wendell Carter, is that saying that you have no faith in James Wiseman? And maybe you shouldn't, but if you don't have any faith in James Wiseman, then this makes sense, because you look at this Pacers roster and you say, okay, they could really use a backup big, and Wendell Carter would probably be, I mean, he's a starting big for the Magic, probably be one of the best backup bigs in the NBA. And I also like that Wendell Carter has the ability to step out and shoot the three, and maybe not quite as aggressively as Miles Turner does, but still you can run a similar offense with Wendell Carter on the floor as you can with Miles Turner. Both guys have the ability to step out and shoot. So I like that aspect of it. But yeah, Donnie, I think I ultimately land at, you have to have very little faith in James Wiseman if I'm going to do this, if I'm the Pacers, because I'm giving up Jarris Walker, who was my number 8 pick just last year, and then Isaiah Jackson, another young big as well. Yeah, if I'm doing this, I would have to be certain that my team is ready to make a push right now. Wendell Carter is going to step in and be an important rotation piece, and James Wiseman is not it.
Yeah, I was actually, when I asked about that, I was kind of blanking on the fact that Siakam is there. So my bad. Saturday morning vibes there. But yeah, they're not going to be able to run both of those guys together. So you would be getting a backup center, which they actually do need. And Wiseman is not enough of a swing for me. I do think if you make that move, you are trying to push towards going all in, which is fair. I think you could also get him, though. What's his cap hit? Do you know what that is right now, by the way? I think you
Wendell
could get
Carter?
him. Yeah. I think you could get Wendell and plug him into this team for several years to come, actually, assuming things stay the same. Or, I mean, maybe something, I don't assume they'll let him go, but maybe something happens with Turner. He is somebody that is going to be off the book soon, unless they extend him. So I don't assume they'll let him go, but maybe you're looking at a Turner replacement at that point. But either way, this team does need a big off the bench. So I would like that.
Yeah, that's the other point I wanted to make here. Wendell Carter Jr., just $12 million this coming season, just under $11 million next season. He's one of the more attractive big men potentially out there on the market. The Magic, they can afford to lose him because they already have a number of bigs. Mo Wagner being one of them. Goga Batadze as a guy who they re-signed this summer. They've got other bigs that they can use on their roster. And then Wendell Carter is in high demand. There's a lot of teams that could use a steady. He is not exceptional. He's okay. He's an okay shooter from deep. He's an okay presence at the rim. He's an okay rebounder. But still, that's the kind of guy that can have some value in a team as like the Pacers that wants to make a run. We're going to plug him in. We know what we're going to get night in, night out, as long as he can stay healthy. There have been some injury concerns. But then you look at their situation with Miles Turner, and it wasn't that long ago that the Pacers were looking to move Miles Turner because they didn't know what the future held for him. Now, it's possible they want to keep him. They actually can't extend him, but he's on a $20 million expiring contract right now. So this would also insulate the Pacers in the event that Miles Turner and the Pacers, maybe by the trade deadline, they're not seeing eye to eye. The vibes are not good. Again, I don't have a sense that that's the case right now, but in the event that around the trade deadline, the Pacers are talking to Turner and it doesn't sound like he wants to stick around, you are somewhat insulated. You could find a trade for him, move on, and then you still have Wendell Carter that you could plug in addition to whatever you get back in a Miles Turner trade. So again, I don't think that's the path the Pacers or Miles Turner want to go down. I think they want to extend their relationship here, but it has to be noted that he's a free agent next summer. And so maybe this does protect you a little bit there. What about Orlando? What about Orlando doing this deal, picking up, you move on from a center, which you can argue that they've got an extra one on their roster here, and then you pick up Dorian Finney-Smith as the major piece that you're bringing back. Do you like that for the Magic? And you're also getting Isaiah Jackson as well.
Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts too much on Jackson. I haven't seen too much from him, unfortunately, so I don't really have a thought on him. But I actually do like Finney-Smith. I think he's the type of player that you could plug into basically any team that wants to make a push, and he could raise the floor or ceiling, either one, both of your team, and just make you much more better and competitive. I also think that his shooting could be very helpful for that team as they're seeking out more spacing alongside their main stars there as well. So also, I've always liked Finney-Smith, like I said, for any team, but I really do like his intangibles, the grit he plays with, and I think that he could be a nice player for them for sure. I don't really mind that. I think, like you said, they have an extra center, so it's not the craziest thing, right? And it's not like Wendell Carter is a budding star, at least from what it seems so far. So.
Well, and you could argue that Orlando needs more perimeter defense on the wing specifically, but you do have, Franz Wagner is going to be there on the wing. You've got, of course, Paolo Banchero is going to be playing quite a bit at the four. Contract wise, Dorian Finney-Smith at $15 million this season, $15 million and change on a player option the next season. I'd have to imagine he picks that up. I have one problem with this, and Orlando is actually the team that I don't like this for. And the reason for that is not so much that I don't like Dorian Finney-Smith, because I do. I think he's a good guy. I've had a chance to hang out with him a little bit. We did an event together a few years ago, and he's fantastic, phenomenal. Got to see him working with kids. I think he's one of those guys that you could plug into a team, and he's going to be a great guy in the locker room. He's going to fit in. All of that is fantastic, and that stuff matters to teams. But Dorian Finney-Smith, what's that?
Is it the age?
It's not the age.
Oh,
it's
okay,
not the age.
That's where you're going.
No, the age matters a little bit. 31 years old, and your primary value that you're going to bring is you're a wing defender. The age cliff is real at 31. Do you start to slow down a little bit in terms of your agility? Potentially. But here's the issue. Dorian Finney-Smith, for a Magic team that greatly needs shooting, right? They went out and got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope this past summer. The Magic need shooting, and you look at Dorian Finney-Smith, below league average the last 2 years from three, 35%, and I'm rounding up to get there last season. The year before that, when he was in Brooklyn, 31%. Now, he did shoot 36% during his time with the Mavs, kind of split the season there. But the season in total, 34% from deep. So again, we've got a couple seasons in a row here of him being a below league average three-point shooter. You go back to 2021, 2022, he shot 40% from three, did it the season before that as well. If he gets back to that, I'm fine with it. But if he's only shooting 34% from deep and he's 31 years old and a lot of what he brings is on the defensive side of the ball, I don't know if he gives the Magic enough of what they need to get a guy that I think is in high demand, or to give up a guy that I think is in high demand in Wendell Carter, because there's so many teams right now that need bigs. The Pelicans, the Knicks, the Lakers. There's a bunch of teams right now that are looking for centers, and Wendell Carter Jr., I believe, is in demand. I just think if you're going to trade him, you want to make sure you get the guy that's not going to contribute to your shooting deficiency. And I'm not 100% sold that Dorian Finney-Smith is going to do that for him. So that's my challenge with the Magic side of this.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think that you still have a little bit more upside with the perimeter defense side.
Mhm.
So that may be where I'd consider this. But other than that, you're definitely right. He's definitely streaky as you see his career pattern. He wasn't able to shoot, basically worked his way up to being a really good shooter, maybe came back with a little bit of regression to the mean. But I mean, if he's able to give them 36%, I think that's pretty good
You're
given the
fine.
volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shoots 4 to 5 a game. I mean, that's a good number for them.
It's a fair point. I mean, technically, Wendell Carter Jr. had a higher 3-point percentage last season than Dorian Finney-Smith did, but the
Mhm.
volume is very different. Teams are going to care more about Dorian Finney-Smith behind the 3-point line than Wendell Carter because Carter's, while he shot a higher percentage, he's more of a reluctant shooter out there.
Yeah.
But let's jump over to the Brooklyn Nets. I love what the Nets did this offseason. I love that they finally picked a direction. They're blowing it up. They traded Bridges. They got a great return for him. I'm excited for what the Nets are going to be. And this is exactly what the Nets, I love this trade for the Nets more than anybody else. This is exactly what they should be doing. You get two young players. You get Jarris Walker being a young player. Plus you get this big trade exception. Again, Walker being the former 8th overall pick. That's the kind of guy that you want to take a gamble on if you're Brooklyn. And Dorian
Mhm.
Finney-Smith is not part of your future. By the time you're good again, he is way past that age cliff. So you need to go ahead and move on from him. And if you can get a recent number 8 pick for him and a trade exception that you could use in the future to absorb even more salary and maybe pick up another asset, I think this is a home run for the Nets.
Yeah, the Nets really, if they can get any of the things that you mentioned back in any package, they need to be trying to fire sale and get rid of all the guys on their roster. Pretty much, there's only a few guys on that team currently. I think that would probably wind up being there when they're done trying to rebuild. And several of the names, including Finney-Smith in this situation, are guys they should be looking to unload. And basically, if you can get back a young prospect, I think that's a win. And also just get some salary off your books and then also help other teams if you need to down the road as well. So the roster's just weird. I mean, largely them making moves, just period, I'm happy with. So
Yeah, I mean, you look at this by the trade deadline, ideally, Bojan Bogdanovic, goodbye. Dorian Finney-Smith, goodbye. Dennis Schroeder, goodbye. Ben Simmons, huge expiring contract. Have you seen Donnie, we are at the point of the summer where, hey, Ben Simmons looks good and workout videos are starting to circulate?
yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely we're there. I would rather just prefer not to hear anything. I would just like to see it for once. Because
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully one of these times it's gonna actually be true. But
We've heard it so many times. That's what we've heard
yeah,
it so
yeah.
many times. Oh no, he's in the best shape ever now. He's going to be good. And then no, there
It's
was
the
a
boy
point where
that
he was
cried wolf.
legitimately one of the most exciting young players in the league. I hope he gets back on track, but I'm not holding my breath
Yeah,
anymore. But at the very least, he's a big expiring contract for the Nets, 40 million. Like they've
yeah.
got some pieces here. They should be movers and shakers by the trade deadline because it's not just Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, even at 28. He may be a piece to move on from, depending on what the market looks like. There's a number of guys that they should absolutely move. And if you can get a guy like Jarris Walker, who isn't getting minutes right now, not the way that he needs to in Indiana, the Nets, you can give him all the minutes that he wants. That's exactly the type of move Brooklyn should be making.
Yeah, I'd also like Jarris alongside Cam. I think that could be a fun one for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Just that young infusion there. And you also get another gritty defensive wing there. And back on the Ben thing, I would assume that he is going to try to come out guns blazing this year because
Mm-hmm.
this is the last year of his deal. Like, that's when you really hit the wall. And it's like, okay, now you're playing for your next contract. So I would assume that he tries to come out guns blazing, and maybe he is somebody that could bring them back value. That's very optimistic. But if we get to the trade deadline and he's giving you normal Ben Simmons 16, 17, 8 and 8, something like that, then maybe somebody looks to trade for him. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, all in all, I think that them making a trade for this roster is always a win. But if they can bring back a prospect, get some salary off their books, and maybe leverage some other trades in the future, that's definitely a win-win.
I think Ben Simmons we could even have a much bigger conversation on another video on Ben Simmons, but I think we may be at that breaking point where I just looked it up, he's made $163 million over the course of his career.
Mm,
How badly does he want it?
yeah.
How badly does he want to continue playing and continue to push to try to get that next contract? We're going to find out I think in the early going, nobody's given him a $40 million contract, but if he comes out and has a pretty decent season, okay, maybe he does get picked up by somebody next season. But he's made so much money. This guy is beyond set for life. I do wonder if part of him is like, hey, one more year and then I'm going to sail off into the sunset here and call it good. He's had a number of back issues and all of that. So I do think you're right, though. I think it's going to go one of two ways. He's either going to come out guns blazing and it's clear, okay, Ben Simmons knows back is against the wall. He is not ready to be done, or we're going to see more of the same from him. And again, not all of it is his fault. Back injuries are problematic for sure, but there's some other stuff there too. We could see Ben Simmons like, hey, he comes out, plays the first month or two, we get another injury, and maybe that's all we see of Ben Simmons in the NBA. That's really what's at stake here with him.
Yeah, and one thing about Ben is that earlier on in his career, even before he started having these recurring issues, there were questions about how much he really wanted this because his game wasn't really improving. He was staying pretty stagnant and he wasn't seemingly working on it. And then we started getting the offseason every year of him being able to shoot, etc. And it still just hasn't translated. So, yeah. So, like, there are questions. There have always been questions for the most part in his career about how much he really wants it. But definitely we're going to see it. I actually thought we were going to see it last year. It looked like he was trying a little bit, but then was just held back. So it's unfortunate.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's nobody else on this Nets team right now. I mean, look, Dennis Schroeder can handle the ball and Cam Thomas is going to get up tons of shots, but I mean, the path is wide open for Ben Simmons to do whatever it is that he wants to do out there. This Nets team is not expected to win many games, most projecting them to be the worst team in the NBA. They're going to sell off as many of these players as they can. I mean, if Ben Simmons is going to show us anything, there's no way you can blame, the system or the team's role or any of that kind of stuff, because he can go out there and do whatever it is he wants, and we'll get a real sense of what he has and what he doesn't have. But everybody, let us know in the comment section. What do you think about the big 3-team trade? Once again, just to break it down, you've got Dorian Finney-Smith and Isaiah Jackson to the Magic, Wendell Carter Jr. to the Pacers, Jarris Walker, Caleb Houston to the Nets. Give us your thoughts in the comment section. Again, hypothetical trade from Eric Pincus, the Bleacher Report, but does make some sense for all the parties involved. I think the Orlando Magic would say no on this, but everybody let me know who says no on this trade.